Hi, this is Joanne Kovacay. I'm a coach and the founder of Midlife Rewritten, a coaching program for women in midlife. So I have with me Suzi Dent. Suzi Dent is an amazingly high energy, charismatic speaker. She's a presenter, an author, and mentor, and she specializes in confidence and self-esteem mindset. Suzi, she just knows how to help women connect with themselves and their life journey by introducing them to the power of yes, not no, the opposite. Anti-aging with a positive mindset and guiding other women to recognize and remove their self-sabotaging thinking about aging is what she's truly passionate about. She loves how she's living her life now. And in the true spirit of practice what you preach, Suzi recently challenged herself to help save a charity and her marriage by transforming herself from a lifetime tomboy, as she describes herself, with a fear of frocks, to a first-time international beauty queen at the tender age of 55, winning Miss Earth Australia and Mrs. Earth Australia, Mrs. Earth Health, and proving her favorite saying, that age is just a number. It's what you do with it that counts. So Suzi, it's so great to see you again.
You too.
So totally enjoyed the time we spent together at the Women's Economic Forum in New Delhi. You were just a bright light in a sea of other bright lights, but so much fun.
We had a great time, didn't we, showing the young ones how to do things?
We did. And those pictures will just stay with us, won't they? Oh, gosh.
Oh, it was lovely to meet you. I think we bonded, babe, really. You know, it was lovely. I had a great time. There were some extraordinary women that I met, and some of them I really connected with, and you were one of them. So it's great to have a chat with you again.
Well, thank you. I certainly enjoyed the time I spent with you. Every time I came down, and I would look for your face in the crowd because you're always such a bright ray of sunshine.
Oh, thank you.
As you know, my focus is on midlife and the kinds of transitions and challenges that women can sometimes face in midlife. And, we had a chance to talk in New Delhi, and you told me a little bit about your story and your background. And so I was hoping that you would share some of that with our listeners today.
Oh, I would love to. I think when we share our stories, that's how we empower other women, Sometimes we go through life and we think that we're the only ones in the situation, and we stay quiet as women. And for the last couple of years, I've been sharing my story and inspiring other women to step outside their comfort zones, I guess, and to share their stories, And if we can help just one person with our story, then, that's a good day, isn't it?
That's right.
So my journey, I guess, of midlife started, well, I think the most surprising thing about midlife for me was menopause. Menopause packs a punch. I know I've met some women who say, nothing really happened to me. And inside my head, I think, I don't think you're telling the truth. No way.
No.
No. Menopause for me, which is still going. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, at 57. It changed me. It helped me really find who I was as a person. It helped me, it has helped me find my true authentic self. At the same time, going through menopause, I learnt how strong I was. I learnt that men actually do have menopause at the same time. So at the same time I was going through menopause, my husband was going through depression and anger management and anxiety and burnout and blame. And when you go through menopause as a woman, the one thing that is constant, I've found with a lot of women that I've spoken to, is you can cry at the drop of a hat at commercials that once before would mean nothing, and all of a sudden the tears are streaming down your face, or you can get angry. You can get angry, and these emotions fluctuate so rapidly, and you really are trying to grasp onto and hang on to who you are. And I think at the same time you're discovering this new you. In a way, I had a starburst fracture in my knee because all the progesterone had leached out of my bones. I was put on HRT. I went through such a huge journey, and at the same time, I realised that I was guilty of not loving myself enough and loving my husband too much. And when you go through this stage, I think instead of being selfish, it makes us as women realise, no, we don't want to do everything for you. No, we want to get into our own self, and we're powerless. At times I felt, Joanne, that I was on this train that I didn't want to be on, going to a destination that I didn't know that I didn't want to go to, and I couldn't get off, And at the time, my husband was not just having anger problems, he was livid. And he was livid at me, He had a lot of problems through something that I call, it's like a modern day scourge, prescription medication. And it's the same in America as it is in Australia, as it is in England. It's a problem of the Western world, is doctors they will dish out prescription meds like they're going out of style. You can get sleeping pills, you can get antidepressants, and you can mix them all together and you can get a couple. And what they do is they change your brain chemistry. Yeah. So I went from having a really nice husband to having a husband with a personality transplant. And it wasn't a good one. Yeah. And it wasn't good for me or my son. And it was really hard to be in this place of menopause and trying to be everything that I could be for my husband. And the role that I'd taken, because men never admit weakness, so I never went and got psychiatric help or anything like that, because men, there's never anything wrong with them, we'll go to a doctor, bang, something wrong, mate, we'll go to a doctor. Men, no, they don't go to a doctor. It's from generations ago, Yeah. So there was nothing wrong with him. So I became like his psychiatrist, if you like. So he would offload on me. He would offload his anger. He would offload his frustrations, and that would be every day. And because he wasn't well, it became a cycle of behaviour and a cycle of everything. And I just became like this sponge. And even though I'd speak to people about it and they'd go, oh, no, that's just too much. You have to leave him. It's like, well, the classic overachiever and perfectionist in me, and the person that loves this man she's been with for 28 years, I'm just going, no, I'm not going to do that, because, we're both in this place at the moment, in this midlife place, if you like, that wasn't being very kind to us, So that's where I was at midlife, and I learnt my weaknesses, and I learnt strengths, and I learnt that the thing that I had to do, as we all have to do, is that I had to work on myself. And I had to change myself. And it didn't matter that, my husband was making me doubt myself. His anger and his self-esteem issues and his problems with himself that he was projecting onto me was making me feel small and guilty for not cleaning enough, not doing enough, not being enough. It's really it's a classic thing, really. Yeah, and it affected our son the same way. And we kind of tippy-toed around the house because we never knew whether he was going to be in a good mood or a bad mood, or whether he'd bite our heads off. And we're in year 8 now, so I've been quite resilient, and had to get to the stage of not being that sponge anymore for me and for my son, and he had to get to that stage too, and he's 17 now. So midlife was a huge mid-awakening, if you like, for both me, and I wanted to save my marriage and my husband, So sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just wondering, so what was it like when you realized you couldn't continue to be that sponge? How did you pivot from that?
I woke up one morning. It was a beautiful day because I'm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. It's always beautiful here, really. They say that the ad campaign, beautiful one day, perfect the next. They're not lying. It really is. And the sun's shining and the kookaburras are yelling, and and I could hear my husband downstairs, and he would sometimes stay up all night, and he would stay up for days, and he would get his rage on, and I just burst into tears. I thought, I don't want to start my day like this. I can't be this person that's so burdened by my husband. And I realized that I had to change, and I started listening to motivational people. I was going for my walks in the morning, and I started listening to motivational people. And the one thing that I really found through listening to them, that I gleaned from it all, is that you have to change yourself, and you have to work on yourself to change things in your life. And to make change, you often have to make yourself really uncomfortable. So I put a wish out. I'm a big manifester. So I love manifesting. I always get the parking spot at the crowded shopping centre. Always.
Yes.
It's always sitting there waiting for me. And that's just a little thing. So everybody at home, work on your manifesting. Manifest that box. See it sitting there and you'll get it. That's right. So I'm a big manifester. And I put out, and I've worked in film and television for 35 years as a hair and makeup artist. So I build women's self-esteem using my brushes and my words. And I've done it for years, you know, but I was not building my own. So physician heal thyself is what the saying is. And so I realized I put a message out, you know, to life. And I said, I want to get in front of the camera instead of behind the camera for a change. Because being in front, doing commercials and, you know, just stuff like that. I've always been good at speaking. I used to sing in bands. I'm really comfortable in front of a camera. And I thought, well, doing that, I'm in the same industry. So it's not like I'm even moving out of a studio. It's not going to upset my husband too much because I'm doing the same thing. 2 weeks later, Joanne, 2 weeks later, I got a message that was completely out of left field and completely changed my world. I was approached. As a makeup artist, I have my picture and my, you know, you're out there with your websites and all that sort of stuff. And I was approached by this woman who was the director of the Mrs. Earth Australia pageant. And she contacted me and said, I think you'd be a really good fit to be a contestant in Mrs. Australia. And I was like 54, I was nearly 55. And I pretty much fell off the bed laughing, cacking myself laughing because I don't wear dresses. I stopped wearing dresses 30 years ago. Which is another self-esteem thing. I went through life covering myself as I was growing up. So I completely covered myself. Never wore dresses. I had pretty much a psychological fear of frocks, right? I didn't even watch The Royal Wedding. That's how girly I am. There's this chick say to me, hey, you come and be a beauty queen. It's like, yeah, right.
Oh, sure.
I know. But I got back to her and I said, oh, mate, thank you so much. You just made my month, you know. And she said, no. And I said, you know, apart from, you know, being nearly 55, I don't wear dresses. She said, no. You know, women, older women, you know, go in these things. And I thought, all right. So I took a little bit, you know, I took a couple minutes and thought, I'll just check them out. So I went on their website and they supported a charity called Souls for Souls. Now, Souls for Souls collects new and used shoes to distribute to people here and overseas who don't have any shoes. And I've always been a big charity supporter my whole life. And this really appealed to me. Sorry, I'm right into. I forgot to press the settings thing that turns people's phones off. So I know I was so touched by this charity and learning about this charity and about shoes. And I've always been into secondhand clothes and shoes and stuff. And we've raised our child with, you know, new in the box is not as good as slightly used out of the box, you know, and it's heaps cheaper. That I realised all of a sudden that life was sending me a message. And I believe that life or God sends us whispers. And we need to pay attention to the whispers. And sometimes they're light whispers and they sound really weird. And you're like, oh, no, that's not right. And eventually God will come knocking on the side of your head and go, hello.
All right. Excuse me, I'm talking to you. Yep.
Pay attention, you know. So I realised that I was being sent a message and I was having my very own sliding doors moment. And I could stay where I was, miserable, with my husband, in the day-to-day drudgery of the black hole of the life that I was living with. Or I could say yes to the most extraordinary out of left field experience that I could possibly have and raise money for a charity. And my husband works in transport. So he's an international transport consultant. So I thought, well, if I bring something different into our lives, he can ship the shoes. So then, because it's a karma thing for me, so then he can ship the shoes, then he's donating to a charity, and then he's part of something, and then that'll switch his mindset a little bit, give him something else. So it went in my head. Go, okay, well, we can all benefit from this. So I said yes. And I'm a big believer in saying yes to the opportunities that life sends us. And I've done it lots of times in my life. And this is one of those opportunities. And to cut a long story short, because I can just keep talking about it, I came up with a business idea that worked with a business called Bartercard Australia that would support me, support the charity and support them. And I convinced them, I went in and said to them, okay, so you guys, you sponsor men who drive fast, hit fast and run fast. How about a middle-aged woman collecting shoes for charity? And they liked, I think, my cockiness and my idea so much that they said yes. So they opened their 25 offices around the country as drop spots for people to take their shoes to. And in the same time, they also sponsored me as the Australian ambassador for Bartercard. And they gave me PR. So I got PR. I got to be on television. I got in magazines to promote the charity, the business, and my journey. And because I was this, 55-year-old, woman changing her life, people were interested.
Yeah.
So I went down to Melbourne. I got my very first frock made, which completely freaked me out because I was raised in a very strict religious family. So I never wear sleeveless. I've never shown my cleavage. Those sort of things just didn't happen. And this lady made me this lovely dress that I wanted. It was kind of sheer across the bust. I looked down, I could see my cleavage, completely burst into tears. I went, oh my God, you can see my skin. So she's like, oh no, just look straight ahead. I'm going, I can't. I can see them. I know. So she put these little applique things on so I couldn't see my cleavage. So it chilled me out a bit. I went down to Melbourne and competed for the weekend doing evening gown and interview section, which I didn't have a problem with. And you had to make a gown and all these sorts of things that I had to do. And I won. So I won the first Mrs. Earth Australia as the oldest competitor, which was awesome. And then 3 months later, I found myself in Vegas representing Australia in the third biggest pageant system in the world. So I didn't do anything dinky. It was quite amazing. I was with women from all over the world, 36 women from 36 different countries who had all competed in their countries, in their states to get there. I mean, pageants are huge in the States and in India and places like that. And there's me, a newly minted frock wearer. When I was at home, I had to practice wearing high heel shoes. I stood at the end of the bed. I had these huge shoes. And let me tell you, high heel shoes don't fit orthotics in them, So I had to, I just stood at the end of my bed like, and because when you sit down with really high heel shoes, it's a really long way down. I thought, I don't want to bugger a knee or anything. Or face plant the stage in front of Australia. It's like, it's one thing being 55, it's another thing falling on your face in front of the, a world televised event. So I practiced wearing my shoes. I practiced walking before I went with a book on my head, so I could glide rather than look like a thunderbird, And I really immersed myself in it. So it's one thing to manifest winning the crown, which is what I did. So I didn't go down to Melbourne to lose. I went to win when I did, which is great. But I went on all these websites every single day. I learnt stuff about pageantry. There's a system. There's a way that you win it. So I really, really immersed myself in the whole world of pageantry, which is all brand new to me. So it was kind of fun. And then went over to Vegas, competed with all these women, had an amazing time actually. Meeting women and bonding with women, which is something that I'd never done before. And out of all the 36 women, I ended up coming. I reinvented the swimsuit section. There was a swimsuit section, and there's no way I was going to trot out there in a bikini because I'm not a size 6. I'm a healthy size 16, which is probably, I think it's an 18 over there. So I'm not skinny. I'm voluptuous. And I decided to. I had this swimsuit made that was like a Bond girl inspired scuba suit. So it had sleeves and it had a zipper and it had little boy legs. I wore the giant heels and I strapped a knife to my arm.
Yes.
I did. I strapped a knife to my arm and a dive knife to my leg and I strutted out on the stage and went, rah, like this. and the judges absolutely loved it and I scored straight 10s and a 9.5 and completely blew them out of the water because they'd never seen anything like that before. And the wonderful thing is with the organisers, they've now, since I did that, they've actually changed the swimsuit section. So you don't have to walk out there in a little bikini. You don't have to show your cleavage. You don't have to show your bottom. You can be sexy and strong and confident and fit and healthy without, flashing your bits, so to speak. So I managed to, I had an amazing time over there. I got third runner-up in the world. I came back, which was awesome. I got the title of Mrs. Earth Health, which encompasses mind, body, spirit, and everything, which was so who I was. I was narrowly beaten by Mrs. Canada, who was this beautiful, tall international model, and Mrs. Sweden, who again international model. So I was absolutely blown away by the life journey that I was being sent on. And I was old enough to be their mother. Most of the girls there, So it kind of really, my favourite mantra and my favourite saying is age is just a number. It's what you do with it that counts, Joanne. And I wasn't there being old because I'm not old. I'm just, I'm 57 now and it's like nothing to me. It's just a number. But I like to encourage women to step outside their comfort zone and not think that they're old just because society dictates to them that they're over 50, so they got one foot inside the grave. So I'm there being a beauty queen. I came home to national television. I've had press all over the world, the 55-year-old tomboy to beauty queen story.
Yeah.
At the same time, my journey, I led by example in my marriage with my husband. He was really proud of me. All he wanted me to do was to build my self-esteem, because self-esteem and confidence are two entirely different things. You can fake being confident, but you can't fake not having self-esteem. And my self-esteem was nowhere near as high as the bucket loads of confidence I think I was born with, you know. So now my levels of confidence and self-esteem are level by putting on a frock and overcoming my fears. And putting on a dress for me was actually a really big deal. It really made me feel very uncomfortable. For a lot of women, you know, they can put dresses on, that's great. I spent my life covered up. I covered myself up. I wore baggy clothes. I never wore anything fitted. I didn't make myself look pretty. It wasn't what I was about. So it was a really huge psychological step for me. But in doing that, I've found my true authentic self. My husband is so proud of me that I've built my self-esteem. He, you know, now he's married to a beauty queen, so that's brownie points for him.
That's right.
You know, he'd only ever seen me in a dress twice. And when we got married, you know, I had this dress made. It was kind of like a stretch material thing. I just pull it over my head. You know, it was a little bit girly. It was kind of light pink lace, but still, that was the only sort of dress. And he got to see me on Vegas gliding out on the stage and was completely blown away. That's my wife. I can't believe that's my wife. You know. Since then, my life has changed. I've spent a lot of time in front of the camera. So I got what I manifested and what I wished for. And I paid attention to the life messages that God has sent me. And you know, everything has changed for him. It's been a gradual process. He's been so proud of me, what I did for the charity and raising awareness and 6 tons of shoes, and doing what I did and changing my life. That's given him a new lease on life, if you like. And probably 9 months after I became Mrs. Earth Health, he had this little epiphany of his own. He was sitting in the lounge room about 2 o'clock in the morning looking at a photograph of me when I was 29, which is how old I was when we met. And he said to this photograph, I need to be that. He called himself the angry bastard. He realised he was angry 95% of the time because he hated himself. And he hated where life had us, and he was not happy, not good, and just powerless to kind of stop it. So he's looking at this photo going, I need to be the guy that you fell in love with. I really liked him. He was really nice. He was fun and he was full of love and everything. And he said it was like being on a bus, and the nice guy was at the front of the bus and the angry bastard was at the back of the bus. And he felt so strongly that he wanted to be this guy that he said it was like having a sledgehammer to the soul, and the angry bastard got knocked out of him. And to this day, he has not been that angry man. He has been working on the more positive thing. He looked at me. He stayed up all night and met me in the morning. I was like, oh, God, here we go, an early morning thing. But no, I know. But he really had an epiphany. He looked at me differently. The tone of his voice was different. The words he uses to talk to me were different. He had changed. The angry bastard was gone, all because he put on a frock, Joanne. So it's amazing, you know. The moral of that little part of my journey is that when you work on yourself and you change yourself, I needed to be the true version of myself that I was supposed to be, and now I am, has helped him become and work towards being the true version of himself.
It just ripples out. Yeah,
absolutely. And so has my son. You know, he's really come into himself. He was a shy boy, you know. Well, not really shy, but he was stuck in the black hole with me and my husband, because there's only 3 of us. And now he's really coming out of himself, which is great. And he's only 17 and he's finding himself again. So we're all moving forwards as a family. When I was in India with you, my husband had a huge epiphany that he needed to go and see a psychiatrist. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. India, thank you. So he's going to be doing that as well, because he knows he's got a lot of issues that he has to deal with, because growth and healing takes a while. Some of us get there quicker, some of us don't. But all this is all part of midlife, I believe, mine and his. And a lot of people find things in marriage, they find things too hard and they walk away and they quit. And this was not a quitting situation. You know, when someone breaks a leg, you can see it, you can see the plaster, and you can see where they're healed. Has a time, you know, has a progression. But when someone's mentally ill and they're having real problems, there is no time limit. It is whatever it's going to be, you know. And we had a lot of wasn't just prescription medications. His mother committed suicide. His brother died at 36 from drugs and alcohol. His sister's dead from being a heroin addict. I mean, we had a death every year.
That's
we had a lot of
A
stuff,
lot
you
of
know.
stuff. Yeah.
You know, and all his family's dead. You know, my father's dead, my mother's gone. It's like it was one thing after the other, and it just became too much for him to actually cope with.
Right.
And he just went down, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a lot of trauma in life, and you either have your partner with you, the partner that you've chosen for life to love, and you stick by them for better or worse, or you quit. And I think if I had quit, which was not really an option for me, he probably wouldn't be alive now.
Yeah.
Because there's only me and my son, and that we're there to support him, and we just had to go through stuff with him. So we're coming out the other side now. I've come out the other side of my journey, and he's coming out the other side of his.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. Very cool.
Somebody, I think
that sounds like my daytime, my morning wake up alarm.
Yeah, it's. I guess I had my alarm on. I didn't realize it. Well, that's just amazing. I mean, it's just amazing what you went through and what you helped your husband go through, and the fact that, you know, you didn't give up, because it would have been easy. It would have been easy to give up and say, you know, I don't know who the hell you are now, but I don't want any part of you anymore, and good luck with your life. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Life is hard. Life sends us challenges. The challenges that we're sent, they're sent to us so we can learn and grow. Not walk away from it and slap them and go, no, that's too hard. I don't want to do that. We had already been sent so many challenges as a couple. You know, I mean, his mother just didn't kill herself. She tortured him and gave him a nervous breakdown before she went, you know. It took us 5 years to make a child. That everything we've done, we've had to work really hard for, and everything we've achieved, we've had to work very hard for. And we're both self-employed, and we're having financial problems as well. So he's keeping the roof over our heads, you know, whilst going down at the same time. So everybody has a part to play, and we all have these paths in life, you know. And I think, and he's more than happy for me to share our story, because as far as we're both concerned, it's not meaning to sound corny, it's kind of a love story.
It is.
Our story.
It is.
You know, we've come through thick and thin together, and we haven't quit, and we've persevered, and you know, he did make me sick. The burden of copying his guilt every day. I lost like 20 kilos. I went through a stage where as soon as he would raise his voice, I'd vomit. I couldn't keep food down. I was so skinny, I had no bottom. I lost all my curves. I just couldn't, you know. And then menopause hit. Then it was my turn, and I was on crutches for like 16 months, you know. However, you know, and I'll tell you what, I was so glad when I got a blood test. I was so glad there was actually something wrong with me, because I thought, if there's nothing wrong with me, there's gonna be hell to pay.
Yeah,
you know.
There was a reason for all this.
Yeah, so we go through a lot in midlife. And leading up to midlife, you know, we spend our 20s caring what people think. We spend our 30s figuring out what we want to do and be. And in our 40s, we kind of try to be that person. And then in our 50s, we're usually women who if we've chosen to have children, we've given birth, they're a little bit older, we've gone through that part, and then our bodies completely change, you know, and physiologically, mentally and emotionally we change. And it's a big test. It's a midlife test, I think, to see if we survive and what we learn from it. You know, here in Australia, the unfortunate thing is that the biggest percentage of homeless people is now women over 50. And I've spoken to a lot of women over 50, because that's really my target market of women that I like to coach. And because your husband and your kids and your family are so used to you being giving, as we are as women, we're nurturers, we're givers. When you get to menopause, you don't want to give. You know, you don't want to do stuff. No, not in the same way.
Changes.
You know, it doesn't come from the same place, because you're struggling within yourself with all these feelings, these emotions, you know, and your body's changing, and, you know, your eggs are drying up, and you're hot sweats, and you don't sleep, and all that stuff. And unless you actually get the support that you need from your family, which is some of these women don't, their families just go, I don't really like you anymore, Mum, or I don't really like you, wife, you know, it's time to go, I was bored with you anyway.
Off you go.
And then then things fall apart, you know. The good thing for me is my husband went on a huge campaign of trying to find all the right amino acids to supplement my system, to build up my bones, to make me stronger.
Wow.
So he had all these pills and tablets for me to take, too many, but, you know, and I had to remember to take them because I have menopause memory. So they'd be sitting here and I'd forget to take them.
It's like, what am I supposed to do with these now?
Yeah, that's right. He'd have whole notes, daytime, nighttime, with food, without food. He went on this whole journey. So even amongst him being angry, he's still been amazing support for me. And since becoming Mrs. Earth and Mrs. Earth Australia and a new frock wearer, he has a new hobby, which is finding me dresses online. So I'd never let him wear. He would never buy me jewelry because I never let him in the past. I didn't wear jewelry. I didn't have an engagement ring, so I don't do that. So he buys me dresses. He finds me designer dresses that are cheap, which is great. He's bought me handbags. He buys me jewelry. It's like I'm his latest hobby. So it's like having a dolly that he dresses, which is great because I wouldn't do it. And he bought me this. He buys the best clothes, and if they don't fit or something, he's got all my sizes written down, and he knows the designers that fit me. So obviously, this Charlie Brown was going to suit you beautifully. If it doesn't fit, he just goes ahead and sells it back on eBay. Puts it back in the kitty for the next one. So
you're going to have women contacting you, trying to figure out how you can get their husbands to do these things.
And I'm not saying you'll have to become beauty queens, but it certainly could change our lives.
Well, tell me a little bit more about, how your son responded to this, because it was a big change for him too, I'm guessing.
The beauty queen part?
Yeah.
Look, my son and I, we are a very tight-knit threesome. My son and I get on really well. We spend a lot of time together watching our favourite programs, The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. He will talk to me about anything, sex, the universe and everything. I'm very open with him. He's always been a bit of an old soul. For him, it's been a wonderful, so basically for him, Dad's been depressed and angry since he was, pretty much for half his life, actually, which is a long time.
It is.
And just offload on me, he would offload on him as well. And my son became a comfort eater, and he's nearly 6'6", and he became a very big boy, big that way as well as this way. And that poses problems as well, Sure. However, we never talked about body image problems because he would have no problem actually standing there stark naked and talking to me. So he didn't not like his body, which is great. So I'm proud that I've raised that sort of a boy, and he's a really good communicator. But recently, like this year, he's really come out of himself. He's seen me achieve more things. I mean, I won what I did with the Mrs. Earth thing last December. I won Role Model of the Year out of all Mrs. Role Model of the Year out of all the pageant systems. I've won several awards on my journey, which is great. In the Gold Coast, I was named as one of 6 most inspirational women on the Gold Coast, next to Margot Robbie and Sophie Monk, all these famous women. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, that's me. I could have given birth to them. I could be their mothers too. Yay! Rock it up for the older woman. So he's watched Mummy, achieve all these things. So he's ever so proud. And with my husband's journey, I had to teach him psychology as well. So we use psychology to talk to my husband, and Jack became very good at that. And this year he's turned his life around. As being a teenager, it's a journey in itself. He's become vegan. So he turned into a vegan 3 months ago, and he's a very strict vegan. He's lost 30 kilos, looks fantastic. Whoa. But he won't eat dairy, he won't eat eggs. He's really, this is what I can do. I'm so proud of him because he's really stuck to it,
Right.
Which is great. And last night he actually got his very first car. They picked up his car yesterday afternoon, and he's got an electric. I keep saying electric guitar. He's got electric car is sitting in my driveway with L plates on. So he's definitely the son of Mrs. Earth. And he's very environmental because it's all about power and the environment for him. So he's really coming into himself. He finished school at the end of year 10 because it really wasn't cutting it for him. And he had the year 11, which was last year, trying different things. He tried chefing for a month. My son was a drama student, so he tried chefing for a month and got to do his best Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver impersonation and entertain the class, which was great. They got to swear a lot, which he loved. You're saying the F word, because people don't realise that he's only 17. So he had a great time, realised that he didn't want to be a chef, but he always cooks his own food. He's very self-sufficient, which is great. Then he tried doing computer programming. He's not really good at maths, but, I said, look, you don't have to choose what you want. And now he works down the road. He works at Woolworths, which is absolutely perfect for him because he walks to work. people love him.
Yeah,
The old people love him. They think he's wonderful. He has a great time. He's earning money, which gives him the ability to get a car and a loan. And buy lots of records because he's a bit retro. My kid loves his records and his record player. And he's really coming along beautifully. In the last couple of months since I was away, it was good for me to be away, for them to both be together. So Jack is no longer, well, how would I put it politely, copping crap from daddy. He's talking,
he's like, okay, Dad, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, we're going to, they really opened up and were very honest with each other, and Jack was really honest, and there was throwing of things, and I said, oh, good job, darling. Did you throw things? Well, that's great, mate. Did you break anything that Mummy wanted? He said, no, not really. I picked a lamp I didn't like. I went, okay, that's all right. That's good, darling. I'm proud of you. I said, did your dad understand that you're really annoyed about something? He said, yes, he did.
Yeah,
I said, well,
got
good.
the message.
Good. Yeah, that's right. And so they're working through their relationship, which is wonderful. Right. So we're all blooming and blossoming together and moving up in this life path that we're on, which is wonderful.
And so your message to women is?
My message to women is to say yes. Yeah. Say yes to those life messages and the whispers that we get sent. Don't just say no. My life has completely changed several times in my life, but just recently because I said yes to this very out there thing. Sometimes we're sending these messages and they really are so odd and so weird. But if you say yes to them and you literally change your life path, you never know what is around the corner and the things that you're going to achieve and the things that are going to help you grow and learn with. And you really can change your life by stepping out of your comfort zone. Most of us will say no to things for fear, out of fear. And because society says, oh, you're too old to do that. You know what? If you want to go roller skating and you've got good knees, go for it. If you want to take up ballroom dancing, go for it. You never know what you might achieve and what you might do. It might be something as simple as just going for a walk every day and taking in deep breaths of the air and do what I did, to start listening to motivational things to vibe you up for your day. You know, get your joy on, but say yes. Say yes is my thing.
What do you think, what do you think the biggest story is that we tell ourselves that gets in our way?
I think it depends on how we were raised. And the mindset, the self-esteem mindset that we have got from when we were kids. I think we really do hold ourselves back from achieving things through fear. But for me, when you're an older woman, it's like, I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what you think. You know, you and I went clubbing. You know, we went clubbing in India. You know, we're the cool kids. You know, we didn't just play with the cool kids. We are the cool kids. Yeah. You know?
That's right.
And I think more women need to just go for it, just do stuff. Just because somebody might think, you shouldn't do that because, you're 50-something. So what's that got to do with anything? In my family, the women live to, their late 90s. So I'm barely halfway there.
There you go.
So I've got a lot of living to do. You are who you think you are. If you want to do something, you hold it in your head and your heart and you believe that you can do it, then just do it. Just go for it.
That's right.
And don't hold yourself back. I think we're held back because society dictates to us who we should be at a certain age. And our kids might go, oh, don't do that, Mum, because you're too old. It's like, says who? Who?
Says you, but I'm not listening to you.
They say you're too old. My whole life I've wanted to know who they were. Have you ever met they? Yeah. I don't know who they are, and who told them to tell us. No. So I think the biggest thing is fear. It's fear of what other people might think of us.
Yes.
It's fear of what those closest to us might think of us.
Yes.
And that holds us back. And it's fear of other people's opinions.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a strong relationship with your family, a lot of the time our parents, even whatever age we are the ones that can actually make us feel unworthy of doing something.
Yes.
and which makes us unwilling to do something because and we forget that they're from a different generation where they didn't do things. I mean, in our parents' generation, women would get to their 50s and they'd cut their hair off.
Yeah.
All middle-aged women had short hair. It was like a badge.
Yeah.
It's like, here we are, we're middle-aged now, but we can't have long hair now. Oh, you can't have long hair.
No.
Absolutely not. Our middle-aged women have to have short hair. So all women would have short hair. It was like a middle-aged thing, time to cut your hair off. Well, now, as we both sit here with our long locks, I always say, as a hair and makeup artist, don't cut your hair. You got good hair and it's not dry. Keep your hair. You can do more with it when it's long.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't, that's just a little example, but it's the way, it's how we perceive we're supposed to be. But guess what? You're not supposed to be anything,
you can be anything
except who you are. That's right.
That's
you can be anything you want at any age.
Yeah.
Wherever you are in life and the world.
Yes.
Do what you want and just say yes to everything. Not bad things, good things.
Of course. I just love that, Suzi. You are so wonderfully positive, enthusiastic about things, regardless of, you're so resilient, all the things that you've gone through, all the things that you struggled with, and still you have this wonderfully positive mindset, and you have this belief in yourself and the fact that you can manifest what you want by changing how you think. And that's terrific.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all the power of the mind.
Yes.
It really is. If you believe that you can't do something, then you can't do it.
Can't.
If you believe you're too old, or that your knees are going to give out, you will convince yourself that you can't, and your body won't do it. Mm-hmm. But if you 100% believe that you're going to do something, and that you can do something, and that you're totally capable of doing something, you will achieve that, and you'll achieve it in spades. You'll do really, really well. Yeah. And I have several friends who've gone back to university in their 50s, and they've just nailed it all across the board, high marks, distinctions, everything else, because they've convinced themselves, I'm going to do this, I can do this. And they might not have necessarily been able to do it when they're in high school, but they certainly can when they're older.
Yes.
And they achieve really well and change their careers. I mean, I've just changed my career from a hair and makeup artist to a motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. And that's awesome, But in my 30s, if you had said to me, oh, by the way, when you're 55,
you'll be a motivational speaker.
You're going to be a motivational speaker,
and a beauty queen.
You're not going to be doing this. Yeah, and a beauty queen. The beauty queen thing, I would have laughed. At stage of my life, I would have that. You never know. So never say no to life, and never say no to you.
Yes.
Because you are your own best friend. You are the one, you're the only one that can change. You're the only one that can be you. You're the only one that can manifest. Just believe and you shall receive.
I love that. Thank you so much, Suzi. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you again, and I know we're going to be staying in touch.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Joanne. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'm going to turn the recording off now. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. As a thank you for being here, I'd like to offer you my Glorious Second Act Workbook and Planner. It's a great tool to help you gain clarity on what it is you want next in your life and to develop a plan to get you there. It's a totally free gift. The link is down below, so click the link, download your planner, and get started, taking action and creating a new and exciting second half to your life. I'm Joanne Kobike, your midlife coach. Stop by again for another episode of Modern Midlife. See you next time.